Sawtooth Dave with an actual sawtooth today. So let's go ahead and go and get into that whole. It's gonna be a ramble video for you. You can think about it. Like, I know I ain't got really no major topics, so we're just gonna run it to mouth and see what comes out. The challenge. So first time me trying the challenge, I chose the one knife for the whole month, the T1. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, you're tired of seeing pictures of it as much as I'm tired of taking pictures of it. But figure after 31 days, nothing but this knife. I'm not gonna call it a review, but I can definitely talk more about my experience with the T1 at least. So going into it, I didn't know like how it would be with the whole challenge. So from my standpoint, like getting over the choices of what to carry every day was like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks of torture for that. Like, because I like to go to my safe, play with as much stuff as I want to play with, figure out the two that kind of suit me best, and chuck them in the pocket and roll out. So this whole month of August, I haven't really had the chance to do that. Only ran into like one knife guy. It was yesterday. I didn't even know he was a knife guy, so it was kind of cool. But I got, only had one knife on me, and I felt insufficient in that regards. As far as like outside carrying, so that wasn't a huge factor. Like, but the actual knife, like, this is a big heavy knife. I just carried inside the waistband on my shorts, strong side, just kind of tucked it in there. So in the waistband, wasn't the easiest to get it in and out of the pocket. Still isn't. It's one of those clips that hopefully you can see it's got a gap under there, so it's not like it's all the way pushed down where you got to lift it up. It'll slide in. It won't slide over a ton of material, but once it's there, it's there. Obviously the weight of it's going to keep it down. And if you don't have a string on your shorts, probably not the best shorts to wear with these knives. So obviously I had to select the shorts I wanted to wear. I expected it to kind of patina more. I think I've gone over the patina on this before, and you can see it's more on this one side because obviously the pocket clip's on the outside, so it's sitting in. So this side's kind of sitting and absorbing some more of that sweat. And yeah, it did get a little more patina, but you can see the other side, just barely a little bit of patina. As far as edge retention goes, this is Z-wear, so it's supposed to be, I guess, around the crew wear kind of thing. 3V-ish, whatever you want to call it. So more of a tough steel, not necessarily edge retention steel. As far as my knowledge, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. So the tip's pretty obtuse, so it's not really great for fine work, but for heathen work like myself, did fine. But I did most of my cutting probably more on this point, and then using the what would be the belly, I guess, or the flat portion, the more acute edge on it. I found it to be fine. I did all the knife tasks I want to do, and like nowadays, not working at a shop, pretty much I don't really need a knife, so I just want a knife. I don't really need to have one on me. I just like to have one on me. I don't do that kind of work anymore, so honestly, like, take that all with a grain of salt. I find ways to use my knives on a daily, but like I don't have to use them. I guess that's kind of where I'm at, and I don't need the knife for work anymore like I used to. I thought in a month I would get used to like the thumb studs. If you've ever handled a T1, this is going to make sense to you. If you haven't, when you put one in hands, it probably will make sense to you. But the thumb studs are just the round. I mean, they got little grooves in here, but this is all slick. Nothing about this really has any traction. I guess on top, nah, not really. I mean, it's pretty much all slick. So reverse flick, you still got to position your hand just right to get on that thumb stud, and it is, if you can see it in that thumb, it's not, I mean the finger, it works no problem. But like as far as like how it feels, it's not improved in any. Like, and in the ball groove, if you look at where that groove is, it's got a radius all the way up, so there's no sharp edge to catch you. So while you can flick off that groove, see it didn't deploy all the way, you slide off that groove. I can sometimes, as I'm not doing it now, I sometimes can do it off the groove, but ultimately it's not really, it's like a Praetorian. It's just like, it's harder to use that way. Thumb stud still works the same, but it's the same kind of principle. Like, those thumb studs aren't the most ergonomic, and I found over the month, I thought maybe I'd adjust to it and find a different technique, but same on 31 days later as I was the first day. Like, they're not the best studs ergonomically. Everything else about the knife worked fine for me. I think, there's a whole group that does this on Instagram. One of the dudes hit me up, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. If you watch this, I doubt you do anyhow, but he hit me up. He's basically like, we're tallying up like basically the cheapest knife, the most expensive knife, the biggest knife, and the heaviest knife. So I'm pretty sure, I didn't get the final word, but I'm pretty sure that I got the most expensive, the longest, and the heaviest. So hey, the bruiser style, man. All my bruiser brothers know what I mean. That's just like all those things we kind of take for granted. Like the knife guy I told you I ran into, he's carrying a little bitty, you know, and he's like, how do you carry that? Like, I you know, it's just one of those. I'm just used to it. I feel naked. I would feel naked. That would be like a fifth pocket knife for me, you know, pretty much. I'd feel naked not having this something big like this in here. But I'm pretty much done with this one for a while. Like, having forced to carry it for 31 days, or forcing myself to carry it for 31 days, I'm pretty much moving past it for a while. So you probably won't see anything else about the T1. Steve, you still want to borrow it, hit me up, bro. I know you saying you were working a lot, but if you want to borrow it, you're more than welcome to. It probably needs an edge at this point. Probably need to do it. I had to strop it pretty much almost on a daily to keep that edge kind of nice and toothy. But it's probably fairly close to needing an edge at this point. I mean, we all got different standards we all work with, right? So in the month, y'all know I did my first folder. So I made my first folder. Wasn't able to carry it because I'm doing this stupid challenge. So Sharif's had it since pretty much the video that I did. What was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever that was. I mailed it to Sharif pretty much that next day. So I never even carried the knife, so I don't know what it carries like. Not that it had a pocket clip on it anyhow, but so disappointing because of that. Maybe that's not, maybe, you know, what do you call it, in the back of my mind or whatever, that's probably why I didn't make a pocket clip for it. But also made my first Reblade. I haven't been able to carry that one. That's in the safe still. I have used it a little bit because obviously it was like I had to at least mess with it. And still working on that fixed blade. I think I showed you a couple weeks ago a fixed blade. I thought it would take like one of those, it'd be done in a week and I get it out of here kind of thing. But as I kind of was sitting in that video, I thought just putting handles on it, and like yes and no. So I brought it to another buddy of mine who's a fellow knife maker here in Tucson. And Dave looked at it and he's like, the layout, you're gonna have problems with the layout, how you wanted to do it. He was explaining to me a couple of issues, and he is gonna make a pattern, grip pattern, and I think it's gonna be like bog oak and whatever else he laminates together, G10, whatever. I don't know what else he came up with, but he's gonna hook me up with the grips. He says he's not gonna do it for me. He's just gonna like kind of help me figure out how to lay it out, and then he wants me to do it, and then he's gonna probably help me make a sheath on the end of that. So that's still the game plan. Timeline, I don't know, because you know Dave works still, he's in his 70s, but he still works full-time job, if not more than full-time, 50-60 hours a week, whatever he works, and plays with knives on the weekends. So he got as much time as he needs. He'll let me know when he's ready, and I'll go get the stuff and take his tips and try to finish that knife. But for the metal part of it, I think it's pretty much, I might have to finish a few things, but like other than that, it's pretty much done. What else do I got to say? Oh yeah, so that was all the kind of drawbacks from having made all that stuff in the month that I'm not supposed to carry it. It's like I don't get to really even test it, enjoy it, anything. So that was kind of a bummer. But it also helped me move on and kind of get back into projects and stuff like that. Obviously I hurt my back. I wasn't able to be in the shop week before last. This past week I kind of come in here and dabbled. I didn't spend a ton of time on it, but I was working on that Reblade still. I guess I can show you it real quick. I did redesign it a little bit profile wise, and I did cut some parts into it and figure out what I wanted to do. But that's that tier. So if you can see on this front side, I just counterbored this, so it's not a through hole, it's a counterbore hole for your thumb. So it works pretty good as far as that goes. I got the lockup done, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully y'all can see that lockup. Pretty happy with that lockup right there. And then also on the back side, instead of copying it, I went ahead and put a fuller on it. So I'm kind of digging this asymmetrical kind of thing, like a fuller on the back. I was doing stud. I did stud on that Reblade, the first Reblade, but this one I decided to do that counterbore on that. And obviously I redesigned the profile of it. See if I can get back here so y'all can see it a little better. And then you can kind of see where I've drawn with magic marker, kind of proposed pocket clip kind of thing. I'll probably get on that next, but I'm in really no rush to doing this because I don't have any place to send the heat treat anyhow. So even if I get it done, I'll probably wait till I get a few and then send them all out at once. Like I'll probably do a few S45 Reblades and then get that sent out and work on those. You know, all in baby steps. Maybe I'll get an oven and try it myself, but I'm kind of not really in a position to buy one right now. But that's what it's looking like so far. So let's see if I can hold it this way so you can get a better idea. There we go. So I think both sides kind of aesthetically look cool to me. I'm kind of digging what it is. I did shrink the blade a little bit, and I kind of elongated it a little bit this way, or shortened it a little bit this way. Like last week, I think I had a bigger, like it came out further and the angle was more obtuse. Now it's a little more acute, and also kind of just barely put a little radius in there. I can't remember what it looked like last week. To be honest with you, I've changed it enough throughout the week that I don't remember. But I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far. I guess proposed grinds on this one. I'm into the combo grinds right now. I don't know why, but you know, as a grinder, you kind of go through phases, I guess. And like right now, kind of when I did that kind of nightmare grind to Denise's a couple weeks ago, that kind of inspired me. So I think I'm gonna try to do that same kind of thing. Like probably put a nice flat, stout flat up here, and then do that big hollow in the back here. But maybe I'll do hollow and hollow. I don't know. It just depends. I'm gonna get ready to do it, but you know, that's down the road whenever I get ready to grind. The one thing that I was glad about, I mean, I got that kickstand from Evan. Well, Evan, let me know when you want me to send that AR too. I don't know if you're back at the house or not, but you know, I didn't get a whole lot of new stuff in, so I wasn't really tempted to carry new stuff, which kind of helped me a whole lot to get through the challenge. Evan did send his kickstand. It was originally for work. We thought we'd just do a scale swap with a G10 scale because he liked light stuff for whatever reason. I don't know. Some of you people are crazy. I don't understand why you like light knives, but just messing. But it turned out that he was like, hey man, I kind of like what I already have. Because I sent him a couple of DSKs. I already like these better than that, so when we work out a trade, we just haven't done the actual sitting down to do all the trading thing, but we'll get to the bottom of that eventually. As good people, and we've done several deals at this point, so but it did end up getting a new one, and I got the new one. It came in. I think I've even told you, I know I told you that I had it on order. So this is from Dario over at Derek Steel, which is from Croatia. And the thing about it for me is, like, you know, like first experience I had was through Carco, and he sent a Toucan 2XL left-hand model. As soon as I felt the left-hand model, I was like, man, if this thing was right-hand, I'd own one. And then I looked him up, like, messaged him. Yes, he takes orders. Ordered his flagship model is pretty much the Degman. So I ordered a Degman, different from what they standard come, like more of a plain Jane and more my style. He'll do pretty much whatever you want, but communication was wide open. I ended up getting to meet him at Blade Show. After I'd already placed the order, he showed up at Blade Show. I got to meet him, hang out with him, see some of his other work. I knew I was going to get the right model. Down the road, I traded with Sean and got this Degman. This is a Degman. This is what he calls a Tonto recurve. So it kind of sort of, I don't know if you can, it looks almost straight from my camera, but also my eyes are bad. But hopefully you can see it's a recurve. It's a slight recurve, but it's a recurve. And Tonto, it looked like the tip got rounded just a little bit, but we'll straighten that out. I'll probably next sharpen in here. And the thumb slot, finger slot, whatever you call it, the blade's slotted. So I wanted to do a little bit, this is all orange peeled and all radiused with the holes. I'm not so fond of the holes, but hey, for you lightweight people, this is a lighter version. So when I decided to order one, I wanted, of course, full titanium, full thickness, and we're just changing it up a little bit. So what I did was do the chamfers instead of the contour all the way. He does chamfers, so both chamfered here, none in the front, none in the back, just, you know, radius a little bit on the edge. And thumb studs on this one instead of the hole. So, you know, there ain't too many knives that you pick up immediately, put your finger on it and flick it and go, oh, that's a great thumb stud knife. There really isn't that many out there anymore, for me at least. You know, like, that's one of the things, like the Satu for me, like the first time I picked it up, I was like, oh yeah, that's money right there. Still one of the most ergonomic thumb stud knives to me. Finger flicking, you know, takes a little bit more figuring out where you put the fingers, and like kind of I was talking about with the T1, not the most ergonomic studs, and even with the thumb, not the most ergonomic as far as the thumb stud goes, but the placement's perfect, and the action of the Satu is obviously, well, I'm Satu Dave, I really like the action. But yeah, this one worked out great. And then even the finger flick on this one, I'm not gonna say it's as good as the hole, because like obviously you got more area to get in the hole, and it's just easier to find, to get the leverage you want. But the thumb stud on this one, the full weight on this one, obviously acid stone wash is what I want. This is orange peeled. I don't know if it comes out. It almost fingerprints right now. I think over time it's going to end up pretty much looking the same as this one, if it doesn't already in the video. But it just kind of has like a little dirtier look. But I think that's probably what's going to happen to this one. Some very minor differences, like the pocket clips. Let me see if I can hold this damn thing right. The pocket clips slightly different. Lock bar cutouts slightly different. I mean, there's just like a little subtleties of it, but man, what a hell of a knife. And I gotta tell you, like, we were talking about FedEx and FedEx shipping. This came from Croatia. Dario's Croatian. And he told me he's gonna ship it on Wednesday. He said it'll probably be there in 5 days. Shipped it on Wednesday. It's here on Friday. Or excuse me, Tuesday. Shipped it on Tuesday. It was here on Friday. Like, FedEx really killed it this time. I mean, that's international, all that stuff. Like, same problem I had with Billy and Courtney when they sent their package. Is signature required. Which, coming from another country, I kind of get it's got to be signature required. And I was bummed. It's like, damn it, man. Like I saw that they tried to drop it, and it was like, I was like, damn it, and I'm going to have to wait till Tuesday, take time off, and sit around and wait for FedEx to show up. This is cool as hell. The Dollar General, which is, I live in the middle of nowhere, so the only thing out here is Family Dollar, Dollar General, 10 minutes away or whatever. It's the only store pretty much out here. They got a FedEx like place where if you print your labels, you can send it from there. But I didn't know you could receive that. So the dude knew I was never going to be here. So he just said, hey, I put it at Dollar General. Just go up there and get it. They're open till 10 o'clock at night. I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like, the FedEx guy's on point. So I didn't have to tell him. He just redirected it, delivered it to the Dollar General up their street, and I just had to drive up there and get it. So like 8 o'clock at night, I was able to get my knife. So that's awesome, man. That's the way they all should be. Like, that's perfect, man. So I was able to get this. Of course, Dario, being the guy he is, hooked me up with a bunch of swag. So I got 2 patches. And he gave me these at Blade Show as well, so that's like extra now. So 3 patches, a little keychain. There's this dingle dangling around here. A couple more stickers, which I already got those hanging on my wall. And then a t-shirt. So y'all see me in a t-shirt pretty soon. But hell of a guy, man. Hell of experience. So if any of these, nice if you look at his website, any of those, it takes a couple of months for him to get you kind of in the queue. Mine had to go to water jet and all that other stuff. And mine was different because I didn't want this slot. I wanted that thumb stud instead. So obviously, if he get it water jet already out, the blanks he had, he couldn't do one with a thumb stud because it was already cut. So I think pretty much he had to do a special run of water jet to get it done. And I imagine he does stuff in the sheets. I wouldn't imagine he does like one at a time kind of thing. So yeah, it took a couple months to get my order in, but then once it was processed, the cool thing about the way he did was every single step of it, I got pictures, some even videos of him machining it, like he telling me the next step. So I thought it was really cool. It's almost like, getting an update, like actually going to the shop and getting an update. So very good experience. And can't recommend his work enough. If you guys are interested, I would highly check it out. So that kind of puts me like, I think I got 2 from Dario, and I got my Dalibor. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Mr. G. I picked up the wrong knife. Mr. G or Gorky knives. Get back to my Dalibor. My Dalibor. And my Damjin. So I pretty much got 4 of the makers that I know from Croatia that kind of sort of do this bruiser style that I'm into. I don't know why. The Croatians are kind of into the same stuff we were into like 10 years ago, but like it kind of works out great for me. So the question I got for you is, do y'all know any more Croatian makers that I need to get into? Is there any more people out there building stuff like this that I need to know about? Because I'm completely satisfied with every single one of those. Like, they're all what I like and nice. Some a little bit on the smaller side, but like, it's, I can't complain about this size at all. Like, this is definitely big enough. Now the Damjin's a little bit on the, what does he call this one? I can't even remember, but this is a little bit on the smaller, slender side. So I would call this like backup style knife, but you can see the style. That's so cool too. I just dig their styles, man. So I guess we're gonna call this one the Croatian Connection. I don't know. What do you think, man? Like, I'm really digging that style. But there's still a bunch of knife makers out there that I haven't discovered yet. Like the whole thing, like the longer you go, the more you realize you don't know. And there's a lot that I like to check out still. But I like just a overall super happy experience with Derek Steel, and I just kind of wanted to let you guys know, not that I'm trying to be a salesman or nothing like that, but I think it's almost a 20-minute now. Let's go ahead and call it there. So glad to be done with the challenge. Hopefully next week we'll kind of ease more into the actually getting some more stuff done. I might start another folder. I haven't decided yet. I kind of sort of kicking the idea. T-Mac, the guy who did the heat treat for me on all those reblades and all that stuff, kind of put a thought in my mind. I'm kind of sort of mulling over an idea of making like a newer version of a sawtooth. So I don't know, kind of sort of thought about it. I don't want to rip off the design. I think I've got enough little touches that I can probably do to it to make it more my own, but kind of like, I'm not selling the thing, so it's not like I'm going to take any money from Graham, and they're not being made anymore anyhow, so I don't think they're going to care anyhow. But I don't want to make it like out of the scales I had before. I don't want to make it out of those. I want to do something a little bit slightly different, so we'll see what happens. I'm kind of sort of kicking the idea around. Mill's still jacked. I did started taking the mill apart, and the x-axis is basically the lead screw is toast, which I kind of knew it was anyhow. So I got to either get another manual mill, fix that manual mill, or fix the CNC. Obviously, the most makes sense is probably to fix the CNC. I'm just kind of mentally torn between, I wanted to kind of do stuff manually. Now I got to kind of go back, but I will be able to do more precise, quicker with the CNC because that's most of my experience. It's just like, I kind of didn't want to do CNC stuff, but all baby steps, I guess. We'll figure it out as we go. All right. So I guess that's it for this week. Y'all be cool. Have a great Labor Day. If you got the day off. Hopefully you got the day off. It's funny because our crew actually gave us the day off. We normally give them the day off. It was like Wednesday. They're like, you guys are taking Labor Day off because we'll probably end up working. This is Sunday, so we'll probably end up working Sunday. We'll see, I guess, as the day goes. But typically, holiday weekends are the busiest time for us. Just seems when most animals get hurt or people pay attention to them or something. I don't know, but holiday weekends are always busy for us. So we'll call it. Y'all be cool. Later, y'all. So in my usual cart for the horse style, I decided to go ahead and put, someone mentioned that wanted to see the Reblade video that I was going to do. Oh yeah, by the way, I can kind of sort of front flip this one. Okay, get up here and kind of do it. I can't really do it with the handheld, but whatever. Anyway, someone has mentioned they wanted to see the Reblade video, so I went ahead. Some of this is from like a month ago, maybe more than a month ago, and the other parts are from during this week when I was working on it. So I went ahead and threw this on the end, so maybe you'll enjoy it. I don't even know how the video ends. We'll edit and see how it goes. All right. Hopefully y'all can hear me over the fans, air conditioning, everything else, but I got this idea 100% from Billy at Apex Alchemy. He did his design of fixed blade. So we're gonna design a Reblade. I know, original, right? All right, so this was a tier XL. So you can basically see this is the outside. So it will be sitting like this. I just pulled the lock side off. So a couple things to consider when I'm getting ready to draw this out on the steel, very similar to he did his fixed blade, because I got to worry about where the stop pin location is in pervy to the blade. So I got to keep in mind that this position right here I cannot change. Now I can make the steel come around this stop pin, so it's basically cupping it instead of just basically hitting on a single point. And then we're going to watch the lockout. The lockout would be here. Put it down so y'all can see it. Actually, move this shit out of the way and do it sideways so y'all can see the hole. Makes more sense this way, right? Okay, good. So you can see the stop pin position here. So basically, this, let me get a pin marker here. So the position on this current blade, basically there and there cannot change, okay? Pretty much, most everything else can. So you look at certain things like, why is this relieved that way? So when this pops out this way, that's just basically a relief for the lock bar, so the lock bar can go in there. It doesn't necessarily need to be like a hole like that. It just needs to be relieved up. So I could basically draw this a straight line. So instead of being this cut out right here, I could draw this at a straight line at that angle. Hopefully this makes sense. Up to this point, and it'd be fine too. Or, you know, I could scallop it a little bit, whatever. But it's just basically to relieve for that lock bar is all it is. So this part of it doesn't matter too much. Okay, you can also see that I can grow this or cut this frame down. I want it to be even, so when this is all together, this will be even. So I'll probably modify this titanium more. You can see already that I've already, well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, that I've modified this end and this end and this. So basically, the tier XL is kind of sort of a tier Dave now. It's not really what it was before. I've modified it, obviously. So what do we want to do different here? So I don't mind the swoop up, the harpoon swoop up, maybe even the angle down, but this part, all this is all from me messing it up. You can tell I messed it up when I was learning how to experiment a little bit there. So when I put it closed, you can see how much more room I have, right? So I've got all this room. You can basically take it. Up to the whole width of that frame. You know, I only got one standoff in it right now, so either I'm going to make a backspacer with a pin that'll connect the two and just use one threaded arbor or threaded standoff through it, or I'll put another standoff probably, you know, somewhere up in here or something like that. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. It's kind of immaterial at this point because I have plenty of room. Well, basically I could come all the way up to where the holes would be, and this hole is kind of further in than it should be. So I could actually move it too if I wanted to, but I'll probably leave it as is because it was already there. And I needed a point to go off of, I guess. So I'm going to draw a blade shape. So looking at this, like if I'm looking at it closed, if I use the same straight line here and the same straight line, well, this would be the lock bar surface here, and this straight line here. I don't know if this is making sense or not, but basically I'm just drawing it on this part of the frame, just so I know how much I got on this side of the blade. The upside of the blade I can do whatever I want to with. It's basically going to be, sorry, excuse my drawing here, but I could basically do anything to that point, and I could go bigger than that, but I don't want to go any further than that. Maybe somewhere in here. I don't want to go any further than that. You know, worry about cutting your hand to the backside or something like that. So I don't know. So that's what this side of the blade is going to look like. The upside of the blade, this part of the blade, I could change this angle. You know, instead of having it, you know, harpoon down like that, I could come out more and I kind of want this point that stops. I want this point to be further here. So this distance here, I want to close that, make it longer to that point. So I could do that with the angle, changing the angle just a little bit, or I could, you know, do something different on top of that. So, you know, we'll figure it out in a second here, but I'm just going to start the point. So I'm gonna get the steel, start drawing here in a second. All right, so I decided to kind of do this a little differently, but the same principle as what we were talking about a minute ago. I kind of drew it on this. Well, I kind of used this part of the frame, and I just kind of laid it down there, because my thought is, if I have excess amount of steel when I get done, like around this whole thing, it'll give me freedom to draw it however I want it to, or to sand it, grind it however I want to. So you can see all of the outlines. You see I kind of drew where that stop pin needed to be for that closed position of that blade. And then over here on this outside, you can kind of see I took this line all the way to the edge of this. So obviously when I grind, I'm going to get it smaller than that, but like just to start, it's a starting point. So I obviously don't need any material outside of that. But then I figured I want, like I mentioned before, I wanted that tip to come on basically to this point or close to this point. So I kind of arched it. If you look at this, how this is sitting here, I arched it to this point right here, and then I left this harpoon point, but I left it a little tall, and then I like kind of canted it in on this other side. So basically the knife would sit just like it was sitting a second ago. You can see I have way excess on pretty much every surface. I should have extra, with maybe the exception of this area right here, but I don't need it any taller that way, because when the knife was all together, I know it's backwards, but like this, you know, it wants to flow with the frame. You don't want it taller than that. So this is the only line I know for sure that I want to keep. And you can see that I got plenty of room all over to that tip, so I'm basically going to be growing it by, what is it, a 1/4 inch or so, 3/8, whatever that is, so I can leave excess material, because I can grind more off. Once I cut it, I can't take any more off. So I'm going to cut this out, this pattern, basically this arch pattern here, and then all this excess here, and see if I have enough room this way, because I can't remember how wide my steel is, but this is basically just grabbing a crappy pair of calipers here. Roughly 2.5 inches wide. I think the material I have is 2.5 inches wide, so we might be in business here. So I'm going to cut this out, and that'll be my rough shape of my blade before I do it. Now, me personally, what I'm going to do is take that blade, or the stock, I'm going to lay this on there and figure out where I want this hole to be, and I'm going to go in the shop, and I'm going to go ahead and punch that hole. The stock blade is not pocketed on either side, so it's just flat right there. The material I have is pre-ground, so double disc ground material, so I don't have to worry about this at all. It's already done for me. So basically all I gotta do is punch a hole in it and ream it, and that's all I gotta do. And then that's my starting point. And from that point, I can kind of take this blade, lay it on there, you know, kind of start scribing out how I want to do it. So that's my starting point, is to put the hole in it before I actually put the template on my workpiece. But that's probably all I'm gonna get done today, but that's the start to this video. All right, continuing on. The first part of that video I probably recorded, I don't know, a month ago, maybe more, I don't know. So last week I had showed you that blade that I started on, which was this one. I did exactly what I started to tell you, or what I said in that video last time. Was I started with this hole. I started with this. Let me get the stock thing on a second. So I this is an S45. So I have the stock real quick. So here's the other half of that. So basically, I just took this stock, went in there and drilled and reamed a hole. And just to show you this, these are precision pins, but this is a. If you see it, I don't even say it. This is a 1/4 inch pin anyhow, but it barely. So. See how that's pretty much dead on. This is actually a 250 minus, which means it's within 2/10, but it's on the slow side. You can see it's just about perfect. So the last one I did, the reblade I did on the Sky, came out real good. You know, I had reamed the hole prior to heat treat. It came out fine afterwards. I just left the grinds out of it. So that's pretty much how I'm approaching this one. So if you can't already see, I decided to do something a little different. I did change the blade shape profile a little bit from when I showed you last week. But instead of just like talk about and not do anything, I'm gonna put this thing together. But basically the process was the same as what I was doing on that video. You can see where I've cut notches for the stop pins on both sides, so they're cupped a little bit. It's not just straight like this blade was. So the locations are going to be about the same. You can see how it's going to hit, but you see I got a little bit more blade material on both ends in order to cup it where it's going to hit. So it's not just a round, it's not a round surface hitting a flat surface. It's cupping into it. You'll see what I mean in a second if you don't already realize what I'm saying. I'm just going to throw it together so y'all can see it. While I was doing this, I've been telling y'all I'm having trouble with the mills, and some people probably understand what I'm saying, other people probably don't. Basically that mill can move left to right and towards you or away from you as you're machining, and also up and down. Problem with that machine is it's got two different ways you can keep track of what your movements are. One is a dial, and you can just manually reset that dial. It's a, you know, like almost like a clock. It's a dial, subscribe lines, and every line means a certain amount of thousandths. And usually that works pretty good on mills. You can always trust your dial, but on this particular mill, there's a lot of slop in it, so I can't tell where I'm at. Like after I go back and forth once or twice, unless I push the same direction the whole time, I lose it. So if I'm sweeping in something and then moving positions, it doesn't matter. So having said that, I started this project wanting to put fullers on both sides. I actually did that on this back side, so that's why it's fullered. But in order to mimic this position, basically I had the blade sitting like this, and I put a 1/4 inch bolt in here, and then I went and put a stop pin here, and I tried to put the opposite one, because when you flip it to put the other fuller on the other side, this hole stays the same. The pin should be in the same position here, just negative versus positive. I lost position, so I couldn't get that position back. I probably could have swept it in and made it work, but when I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, okay, so I failed at the original position. So this one came out exactly how I wanted to. I got the fuller in there. I love the way that looks. But I was like, you know, even if I put that fuller in on this side, this other side, it's not going to really be what I want. I wanted that, because like, if you ever handled this Zermano, like this thumb hole is just right where it should be. So I was like, I'm just going to modify it a little bit and do like a counterbore instead of all the way through. So what I did was rough it, and I roughed it with a 3/8 end mill, flat bottom end mill, and then I used a 1/2 inch to come in behind it with a radius in the corner, and not a center cut. So you get this little conjugal cut in the center of that. So it's like a little, almost looks like a little sun in there. I just thought it would be an interesting touch. Now, whether that makes it or not, I don't know. I may come back and clean that little knobby off in the middle, and I may leave it. I'm not really sure. I don't know what heat treat will probably burn it off anyhow. So, anywho, that's what we got so far. So you can see stop pin here. Let's see if I can explain this. So now it's cupped. It goes around there and it's cupped in there. It's not just hitting flat. The same on this back side when it hits here. I hope you can see that now that it's cupped. So I feel a little bit better about that. Obviously it's not locking up yet, and I just put the bearings that it came with back in it for now. I might do a washer conversion in this. I haven't decided yet. But so far, I'm kind of digging how that thumb works, and then the finger flick on that. And so that's where we're at so far on this Reblade. Obviously, I need to. Well, the next step for me, you might not know, is I'm gonna diken this up, and then basically I'm gonna come in here with a straight razor and mark where this lock bar is gonna interact with this blade. Then I'm gonna take this blade and use the same geometry that's already there. I got a jig that basically it's gonna bolt through the pivot hole, and then I have to figure out how far up and down I want to go, and then I also want to figure out. So this is cut on an angle. I'm trying to do this while I can see it, but I barely can see the phone from where I'm at. Anyway, this is cut. It's not square or to this surface. It's angled, and usually it's about 7 degrees. But I want to figure out what this angle is and try to mimic that on this lock bar cutout. The only other thing that I may do is I may relieve it such as he did. So you can see right here, I think the main reason he relieved it is he wanted it break contact. He wanted the lock bar contact down at the bottom and not at the top. So I may have to relieve it anyhow. That's what he did here. I think I'd probably do it a little differently than he did, but hey, we'll have to wait and see what it does. So I don't know. Well, it's just a see what we do and thing. I know this is supposed to be like me showing you shit, but it's me figuring shit out. So hopefully, see, this is Monday night, so hopefully tomorrow I can come in here sometime tomorrow and scrap that lock bar cut out and get that cut. That'd be the next step. And pretty much from that point, I might refine it a little bit more shape-wise, but it's pretty close to what I want shape-wise. And it'll be a matter of getting it heat treated. This is, once again, S45 on this one. So I'll probably even send this one out too. I just don't know if I'm going to send it out to you yet, but we'll try to get it done. I might do a couple reblades and do them all at once. Like this is probably big enough. I got that regular size tier, so I may make a S45 reblade on it too. I don't know. Or I may look around to it else I got. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff I want to do, but that's it for now. All right, in the last segment, I was talking about scribing the blade. So if you didn't know what I was talking about, this is just Dykem. It's just like a little coating you put on there. So it looks like, hang on a second, this stiff right here. And then you just coat it on there, let it dry, and then basically I assembled the knife and I drew the line where it intersected on that. So you can kind of sort of see it with the other blade as well. Set this down so y'all can see it. So you can kind of see that's where the lock bar should be cut out, and you can see why he relieved it back as far as he did. He just didn't need to go in as far. He just basically, you know, to get it locked up where he will. I might use this as a reference and do a relief, but mine will just probably be like a maybe a little 16th cutout or something like that. Something not quite as dramatic. But now I got to go in there and figure out all the other layouts like I was showing you a minute ago on the mill. So I might take a picture of that. I might just do it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so I know somebody's gonna ask me about this jig. So I think it's a Hardcore Products jig. I saw it from Alan Elishawitz's video, so I just went and grabbed it. It's not like you couldn't do this on your own. This just makes it easier and more versatile. Okay, so these are like little grommets, arbors, whatever you want to call it, that go into this. So you can see how this. Let's take it off for a second. See how that's there? So that locates my pivot hole. So I'm going off the same center line no matter what. And then this over here controls the height, so I can turn it. It's a real fine adjustment. So you can see 2 thou per line. So it's real to adjust the amount of lean in and out. Let's see if I can show you this. Okay, so this is a machinist square. I'm just gonna put it in here. You're really not gonna be able to see it like how I'm seeing it, but let's see if I can do it this way. There you go. You can see how the top of that line, or this top of this line, has a little more space. So as this lock bar is going to engage, it's going to engage here. You want it to contact this surface before this surface. Over dramatic, but that's how you adjust that. And essentially, you could take a more proud cut, come in here and look at with a magnifying glass or telescope or whatever, and figure out what you want to do. But this basically just is a guide to get me started. So hopefully you can see what I'm looking at right there. That's pretty much square to the bottom of this jig, like here, and I'm just going up with the line and showing where it is. Then I can also adjust, where I was talking on the last video about it cutting at an angle here, right? So you can see that this is set up on an angle. I'm just gonna put this jig. Let's see how I can do this. Let's do it with the other blade. Anyway, let's just do it this way. On the bottom down here, there's a line, and I can basically set the angle I want. So once I figure out basically what this angle is, this angle here. You can just do this with a simple protractor and figure out about what angle that is. You can get pretty close here and mimic it. So that's pretty much the jig and how I'm setting up when I'm doing it. And all I'm gonna do is come in with the end mill and basically come in. I'm gonna be proud of that line, but I'm gonna come in here and just kind of basically kiss it through it like that. And I might have to come back through and relieve it, something similar to this one. But that's a quick look at that. And the cart behind the horse again. Obviously the lock's fitted up and it's relieved. Let me show you the right way here. You see it's relieved on that lock face, or lock face down here, and then relieved behind it. So, you know, obviously this is not done, and I think I ordered a checkering file like for gun stuff. I think I'm gonna checker this to put some, instead of jimping it, I'm just gonna like use a checkering file to put like almost like serrations in there, nice little serrations. I don't know, I might try to checker it too. I've never tried it before, but this, while the steel's soft, I might try it. But that's where we're at right now as far as the tier goes. I probably won't touch this again or talk about it again until after heat treat, or at least when the load gets ready to heat treat or whatever else. So sorry about the whole mix-up videos, but hey, it's Labor Day weekend. We ain't really supposed to be doing a lot of work. We're supposed to be celebrating this weekend, right? Maybe not, I don't know. All right, for real this time. Y'all have a great week. Hope you enjoy your Labor Day. See you next week. Later, y'all.